This is a story called From Castaway to Bounty Hunter, Paul's Enigmatic Saga, by Kushanmen from the subreddit HFY. The vast and mysterious universe of New Eden held unfathomable secrets, and Paul was one of them. Although he held Gote's citizenship, his true origin was an enigma, even to himself. Years ago, Paul had been found as a castaway on a remote planet, his memory tampered with by unknown forces that had erased all traces of his past. This mystery about his identity drove him in his constant search for purpose in the immensity of space. The interstellar void of New Eden was cold and relentless, but for Paul it was the only home he remembered. The stars shone like distant beacons, guiding him through dangerous low-security systems. Paul adjusted the controls of his machina, a powerful ORE faction mining ship designed to extract large quantities of ice from asteroids floating in the outer belts of Placid. Paul's corporation, Children of the Moon, was a tight-knit group of Gote capsuleers dedicated to mining and exploration. They had earned a reputation as experts in resource extraction in the most dangerous areas of New Eden. The ice they mined not only provided water and oxygen for crews, but was also used in the synthesis of heavy isotopes, vital for jump drives and life support systems on space stations. However, where there was wealth, danger always lurked. Pirates from the Safety Corporation prowled the asteroid belt, stalking unsuspecting mining ships. Safety had earned a fearsome reputation for being methodical and ruthless in their attacks, leaving little hope for their victims. On that fateful afternoon, as Paul supervised the extraction of a particularly rich blue ice fragment, the proximity alarms of his machina began to sound. A safety fleet was rapidly approaching. Heart racing, Paul gave the retreat order to his team through the corporation channel. The heavy, slow-mining ships began their sluggish escape towards the safety of the nearest station in Austin Jail. But this time, Paul decided to stay behind to cover his companion's retreat. Years of frustration and helplessness reached their boiling point. Instead of fleeing, Paul turned his machina and faced the approaching pirates. "Paul, what the hell are you doing?" The frantic voice of his fleet commander resonated on the local communicator. "What we should have done a long time ago," Paul replied, with a determination that surprised even himself. "Fight." The battle that followed was brief and intense. Paul's machina was not designed for combat, and despite his bravery, it was quickly overwhelmed by Safety's forces. The shields collapsed, the armor disintegrated, and finally the hull gave way to the relentless pirate attack. In a blinding flash, the machina exploded, leaving Paul floating in his escape pod in the cold void of space. As he was rescued by his companions, Paul vowed that this would not be the end, but the beginning of something new. The destruction of his mining ship had ignited a spark in him, a burning desire to protect his own and fight against the injustice that plagued the low-security systems. In the months that followed, Paul dedicated himself, body and soul, to becoming a bounty hunter. He sold everything he had left and acquired a Hecate, an agile and lethal Gote Federation tactical destroyer combat ship. He spent countless hours training in combat simulators, learning advanced PvP tactics, and studying the patterns of safety pirates. The Children of the Moon Corporation supported his decision, seeing in Paul the opportunity to have a dedicated protector. Soon, Paul's name began to resonate on pirate communication frequencies, no longer an easy prey, but as a threat to be feared. With each victory, Paul's reputation grew. The safety pirates, once so arrogant, now trembled at the mention of his name. In an ironic twist of fate, they began to refer to him as the Motherfucker, a nickname that Paul proudly adopted for his Hecate. "If they want to call me the Motherfucker, I'll give them reasons to fear me," Paul thought every time he entered combat. The Hecate Motherfucker became the terror of pirates and the salvation of miners. After each battle, the ship was marked by combat, its hull dented and its system pushed to the limit. But Paul, with unwavering determination, constantly repaired it with nanobot paste, returning it to its optimal state for the next confrontation. One day, while patrolling a remote sector on the borders of Placid, Paul received a distress call on the local help channel. A group of novice miners from the Children of the Moon had been ambushed by a particularly large and well-armed safety fleet. Without hesitation, Paul aligned his ship and activated his jump drive towards the endangered system. Upon arriving at the scene, Paul's heart sank. The safety fleet was larger than he expected, at least a dozen heavily armed cruisers and frigates. The mining ships were cornered, their shields on the verge of collapse. For a moment, Paul hesitated. It was madness to face so many enemies alone. But then he remembered his vow, his purpose. He might not remember his past, but he knew exactly who he was now and why he fought. "Motherfucker, prepare for combat," Paul ordered his Hecate. The weapon systems came to life, the shields charged to maximum, and the propulsion modules overheated for maximum maneuverability. Paul launched his Hecate directly into the heart of the safety fleet. His railguns roared. His missiles found their targets with deadly precision. The tactical ship danced between enemy fire, taking advantage of its defensive mode to resist damage, and quickly switching to sniper mode to return fire with devastating force. The safety pirates, although methodical and well organized, were overwhelmed by Paul's ferocity and skill. One after another, pirate ships exploded or fled, leaving behind escape pods floating in the void. The battle was long and brutal. Paul's shields flickered, threatening to fail. The Hecate's armor showed deep scars from near impacts. But he didn't give up, skillfully using nanobot paste to repair the critical damage in the midst of the combat. Finally, with a last devastating shot from his overheated railguns, Safety's flagship burst into a fireball. The remaining ships, seeing their leader fall, activated their drives and jumped to nearby systems, fleeing from the fury of a single capsuleer. Exhausted but triumphant, Paul communicated with the mining ships. "This is Paul. You're safe now. Go home. The children of the moon need you." Celebrations and thanks flooded the local communication channel. Paul smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and determination. Although his past remained a mystery, he had found his purpose in the vast expanse of New Eden. As he escorted the mining ships back to the nearest station, Paul reflected on his extraordinary journey. From an amnesiac castaway to a feared bounty hunter, he had come a long way. But deep down he remained the same, an enigma to himself and others, a capsuleer determined to protect his own and fight for what was right on the relentless frontier of space. New Eden remained vast and dangerous, but now, thanks to Paul, the systems of Placid were a slightly safer place for the honest workers of the Gote Federation. As long as there were stars in the sky and ice in the asteroids, Paul would be there, vigilant, ready to defend those who had welcomed him as one of their own. The legend of Paul, the castaway without a past, turned scourge of safety, was just beginning, and in the vast asteroid fields of deep space and Placid, his name and that of his Hecate, Motherfucker, were whispered with a mixture of fear and admiration, a reminder that even in the darkness of New Eden, justice could shine as brightly as the stars themselves. As his Hecate aligned for the next adventure, Paul knew his fight was far from over. Safety would remain a threat, and beyond them, the shadows of other pirate factions lurked in the darkness. But with each battle, with each miner saved, and each pirate defeated, Paul was changing the face of Placid, one system at a time. And so, Paul's saga continued, an enigma wrapped in a legend, a beacon of hope in the vast and dangerous expanse of New Eden. Perhaps one day he would discover the truth about his past, but for now his future was clear: to protect the children of the moon and to make the galaxy a safer place, one battle at a time. Every time his Hecate Motherfucker came out of a jump and found itself face to face with a pirate fleet, a mischievous smile would draw on Paul's face. With a mixture of arrogance and anticipation, his voice resonated on local communication channels. "Hello, girls. Let's dance." Those words had become his calling card, a harbinger of the storm that was about to be unleashed. For safety pirates and anyone else who dared to threaten the innocent, it was a reminder that in the vast and dangerous systems of New Eden, there was a relentless guardian willing to face any threat. And as the stars shone in the immensity of space, Paul prepared for his next deadly dance, ready to write a new chapter in his legend, a chapter filled with explosions, courage, and the unbreakable determination of a man in search of his destiny.